Hey guys, it's Chelsa Messenger with Picks and Parlays. We're talking NFL action. Dolphins at Broncos. We've got a promo code. The code is DOG if you want 15% off the entire site at picksandparlays.net. Again, that code is DOG, D-O-G. The Fins are favored on the road, -3.5. The total is 45.5. The Dolphins are one of those teams that have been super hot as of late. They're riding a 5-game win streak, covering in all 5, and since Tua Tagovailoa has been named the starter, he's 3-0, and a perfect record against the spread. A lot of bettors have been happy with the Fins lately. And then you've got Denver, who has been trending in the wrong direction, giving up an average of 36 points over their last 4 games. The problem I have with Miami is their stock already too high? Is the secret out on the Dolphins when it comes to some of these numbers and some of these spreads? So we've got Lee joining us from ASA to break this one all down. Lee, what do you think when it comes to the stock of the Dolphins? Has it risen too high? Is the secret out when it comes to this Miami team?
Yes, I would agree that I'm going to sell high right now with Miami. I'm going to back Denver in this game, essentially buy low. You mentioned Miami's won 5 straight games, 3 with 2 at quarterback. In their last 3 games, they barely outgained the Chargers by 7 total yards and were outgained by 456 yards in their previous 2 games by the Cardinals and Rams. That's a glaring differential. Miami's offense right now is 29th in total yards per game at 318. They're 26th in passing yards at 219 and 28th in rushing. To put this in perspective, the Dolphins offense is currently 24th in yards per play. It takes them, they're averaging 5.4 yards per play. That's the same number as Dallas and Jacksonville. All right. So, the takeaway from Miami right now and Tua and the hype and everything that's surrounding their offense, it's really not that good. It's been the takeaways. They've got 15 takeaways this season, and their special teams and defensive field position has been key for them. And in fact, Denver is actually slightly better in defensive efficiency than Miami. Denver ranks 11th in defensive efficiency this season. Their offense hasn't been good. They're coming off a game where Drew Lock threw 4 interceptions and they had 5 turnovers total. Even though the yardage was relatively even against the Raiders, that score was lopsided. They got beat by 25. So I do like Denver to keep this close. I think the margin of 3.5, as long as it's over a field goal, is a buy for Denver.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the opposite end here. I know it's going to be the super public play, and I think most of the public money is already on the Fins here just because it's one of those games that almost seems too obvious to me. You mentioned how bad the Dolphins' offense is, but the Broncos have an even worse offense, and they've got either Drew Lock or Brett Rippon starting this week against a Dolphins defense that has forced a turnover in 15 straight games, as you mentioned, the longest active streak in the NFL. And the Dolphins statistically are not a team that jumps out at you when it comes to the basic numbers, but the things that they seem like a more complete football team. Their special teams are good. They're really good at defending teams on third downs, and they force all those turnovers. So Tua doesn't have to do a whole lot. Yeah, his numbers aren't that great, but he is making good decisions. He's yet to throw a pick. He already has, I think, 6 touchdowns on the season, and he has a passer rating of 104. So he's doing what he needs to do. And I just think this is a Dolphins team that, yeah, their stock, the secret might be out on this team, but I think I'm going to ride them until they buck me off. I got them at 2.5 earlier in the week, but I still like them at 3.5. I think this Dolphins team still has room to improve with the fact that Tua really hasn't been handed the offense as the starter quite yet. I think there's still room to grow for him in this offense. So that's what I'm playing. Do you have any thoughts on the total?
I really don't. Yeah, I really didn't like the total or nothing jumped out according to our computer math model on that. I do know this. Miami's only been a road favorite once since 2012, so they are in unfamiliar territory. Denver is 6-0 against the spread when coming off a game of scoring 15 or less points. As you mentioned, I think a big key for Denver to stay close in this game is the running game. It hasn't been what they've expected with Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon. I think they are 19th in the NFL in rushing, but Miami's rush defense is 22nd. So if Denver can run the football, control the clock a little bit, take some pressure off, whether it's Lock or Rippon, I think they can manage a relatively close game. But total-wise, yeah, no, I've got no opinion there.
And then one final thing to bring up. Usually when teams go to Mile High Field or whatever it's called now, whoever's sponsoring it, out at Denver, there's a big disadvantage for the opposing teams. You've got the altitude, and usually they've got a really good home field advantage. But since there's no fans in the stands, is
Yep.
it still an advantage for the home team and the Broncos?
I'd say altitude wise, yes. I would really love it if this was a cold game with Tua, having to play in really cold weather. I don't know how many opportunities he's had to play in cold climates, but it's supposed to be seasonably and mild in Denver this weekend. So I don't think that'll be much of a factor. Altitude maybe, but yeah, definitely no home field as far as the crowd is concerned.
Yeah, because I will say altitude does make a difference. If you've ever traveled out that way, it kind of takes your breath away a little bit at first. You're right. I don't think Tua's played in cold weather much, playing in Alabama and then the SEC championship in a dome. And then most of those schools, play in the South, so it's not super cold. But
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of interesting things to look at in this game. And the spread's pretty tight, so I think people are expecting it to be a pretty good one. But that's going to do it for our NFL talk here on Picks and Parlays. As always, great stuff from Lee. Lee, thanks for joining us.